Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey? Hi, I am Sharon Kumara, host of Awakened Soul. By tuning into Awakened Soul Radio, you will be inspired to shed the illusions that bind you, connect more deeply with your inner wisdom, and step into a liberating life of freedom, clarity, and purpose. Each episode, I share stories and lessons learned that help cultivate greater compassion, patience, and understanding, qualities to embody in everyday life. I invite you to join in as we expand our awareness, exploring diverse topics, and gain access to practical tools, guided exercises, and expert advice to help overcome fears and break the chains that bind us. Join us on Awakened Soul. Your journey to freedom and true self begins here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Awakened Soul. I am your host, Sharon Sananda Kumara, and I am the author of Awakened Soul, My Near-Death Journey Home Through Christ's Infinite Love. See, yeah, that's how he greeted me, and I was met by him, and where he took me to a water world, where I remembered as a home for me, which is just a little segue into my guest today, Nicole Meeuws.
Yes.
Am I
Yes,
pronouncing that correctly?
like the muses in
Like the
ancient.
Muse. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. And so she is an amazing artist and has memory or remembers being from a water world. And so I can't wait to hear more of her story and her background. And it's we talked a little bit before we started recording, and it's not very often that we are able to connect with people who have memory of living, existing in a water environment, on a water world, that type of thing. So I'm really excited. Thank you, Nicole, for being here.
The pleasure. It is pretty amazing, isn't it, that you and I both have had very similar experiences. And I'm sure that your listeners, there are many people out there that have had similar tales to tell. Um, my story is a little bit different to yours. I was in a hospital room and I had just lost my baby back in 2015. It was a very traumatic time for me. But as I was on the hospital bed, I literally, as they put in the anesthesia, something happened. My blood pressure went up, and the doctors all started getting worried. This was like seconds it took. My heart rate went up, and then I popped out of my body. And I remember the first thing that I experienced was this incredible luminescent area above my head, which almost looked like the ocean. It looked like the ocean, like moving like that. You know, when you're underwater and you're about to kind of come up through the water, and you see the water above your head, like somewhere beautiful on a beautiful beach, and you're about to come up through the water. That's what it looked like. It looked like this, incredible iridescent water moving like that. But at the same time, I remember feeling pulled. So I felt totally pulled into this kind of vortex of water. And as I left through this vortex, I ended up into this incredible white luminescent room. And I remember the room being incredibly large, larger than, imagine a cathedral, but everything white in a cathedral, and enormous, with no ending walls and no, it's just, this kind of size doesn't exist here. So you can't even fathom how big it is. It's difficult to comprehend, but it was just an enormous room that you're suddenly in. And in front of me were these two thrones, two strangely marble thrones. I don't know why I remember that part, to be honest. I don't know why I remember that they were marble, but I do remember that the thrones weren't carved in an ordinary throne shape. They were it looked very ancient, let's say, hundreds of thousands of years old. I couldn't even tell you. Timeless thrones, but the most intricate designs and patterns that just don't exist in this realm. And on these thrones, like you, I saw these half humanoid mer beings. with blue skin. And I'm curious, did yours also have blue skin?
They had blue tinted, not
Yes.
completely blue, but blue tinted.
Yeah,
Yes,
blue
I
tinted.
should say we. Yes.
Yeah, blue tinted. Yeah, not like the Smurfs, but blue, like a blue tint. That's exactly how I
Yes.
saw it as well. Beautiful, like a sky
Mm.
blue. That's how I remember it. It's a sky blue tinted skin. Um, One thing I do remember also is their eyes, because obviously I'm looking directly at them in shock, thinking where in heavens or where on earth? Obviously not earth anymore. Where in heavens am I? And their eyes were indigo, almost like a white, bluish. It's difficult to describe indigo, white, bluish with a purple tinge eyes. But they weren't scary. They were absolutely full of love when they looked at me. You know, there was no fear in me when I looked at them, which is also another interesting thing because I think once you enter this realm, fear doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. It can't. The frequency can't align there. So I was there in that frequency of unconditional love, faced with these two incredible mer beings who were sitting on thrones. Obviously, they couldn't walk because they had fishtails. And they had one thing I also remember, which was really odd, is that every single hair follicle they had feathers coming out of their hair, cascade of beautiful feathers from indigo white to deep purples. So very, almost like a Native American headdress, Um, Imagine that, but then in these colors, but as natural hair falling down.
Yes.
So it was a combination of bird-like mer being, but humanoid at the same time because they had a torso, they had a top
Mhm.
torso with arms. Um, Now, there is one thing that I do remember, but I'm not 100% accurate about it anymore because it was back in 2015. They were either whiskers or gills that I saw. They had something strange on their face, but I wasn't too preoccupied about that because I was so entranced by their eyes and the color of their eyes and how big their eyes were, and also what they were, what's it called, telepathically telling me. It was an instant recognition of being back home.
Yes. Oh, wow. I've got goosebumps up and down like crazy. You know, the way you describe their hair, what I was calling hair, makes a lot more sense to me now because it, I just saw it as hair, but feathers makes feathery type of hair very
Yeah.
different than bird, the birds we, for anyway, in my recollection, more hair-like, but also feather-like. That's that makes a lot of sense to what I was seeing too and remembering because I didn't know how to describe their hair because it was very different than our hair,
Yes.
but it was like
How,
hair.
how could we have seen the same thing?
I
This I
know
find is extraordinary, isn't it?
it
How
is.
could you from a completely different place, country, background, and we saw the same thing? So obviously, something like that must exist somewhere.
I agree. And as we were talking about before we started recording, was that since I've started sharing my story, I've had many people, even males, not just females, not just women, share that they remember a water world that they belong to, and they would go there in their dream time or maybe see it in meditation, but it was like whispers of it and snips and images of it. So, and that I don't know if you know this, but I've seen maybe two near-death experiences where they describe going to a water world in their
Oh well.
experience. Yeah. And I don't remember the exact or the details of them, but there are people that remember that as well. So that's that's encouraging.
But it's interesting because it's not something that you and I expected to see, right? We
Oh
just
no.
happened to leave our bodies
Hmm.
and completely clueless what would happen then. I was completely clueless anyway. I didn't think it would happen, but it did. And then suddenly to be in this strange watery realm, it was also nothing that I planned or nothing that you planned,
No.
and yet, and yet we experienced it. Um, I have a question for you. Have you always had a very deep connection to water at all?
Yes. Yes, I have to live near, actually, I live on the river now. I have to be near water, live near water, or go to, if I'm not living near water, which is rare, I have to be at water, have something to do with water. And I've also been very attracted to mermaids and dolphins and the cetaceans and
Interesting.
whales all my life.
Interesting, because I myself, I grew up in Oxford, which is not near water. It's a university town. Thank God I don't live there anymore. No offense to anyone from Oxford, but I moved away when I was very young. I think 19. I started traveling the world, and I lived for many years all over all over the place, all over this realm. I lived in the Middle East. I lived in the States. I lived all over, and I always lived near water. And then the last place that I lived in was a beautiful island called Paros, just off Greece, Paros Island. And I lived, it was a beautiful island and we had the ocean all around us. But I think at some point, what I felt was that the water keeps you in this dream state where you can't become practical. It's almost like you're constantly in this dream life and living a kind of a carefree life. But I felt unstable in a way. And so
Mm,
what happened to me last year was it was almost a strange synchronicity. Earthquakes started to happen on the island from Santorini, huge earthquakes. They happened every few minutes. And to me, that was a huge sign that I needed to go. I needed to leave. It was like the earth was saying, this isn't the place you're supposed to live anymore. You need to go. And so I ended up randomly somewhere in northern Greece, surrounded by mountains.
mm,
Never having been here before, but I love it because I also love forests and mountains.
yeah.
But the strange thing is that the town where I live, it was a natural spring. So the town has a natural rivers running all the way through it, past cafes, past restaurants. You could be like walking over the road and there's a river running past next to you. So the town is full of different rivers all over the place. So it's quite incredible where even though I've run away from the ocean, I'm once again back close to water. I can't get away from it.
It's in our DNA.
Yes, I think so. I think so. And it's interesting because this town, all the other towns around here, I'm not very keen on. They're very conservative, lovely people, but very conservative. However, this town, something new always seems to happen here. And I believe that the water kind of replenishes and runs through this town to cleanse the town. It kind of cleanses it constantly. It always flows, it always flows. And, new creativity starts. I think so. It's quite a nice energy to live in. It's never stuck, it's just always flowing through.
Yeah, that's what's so healing about water,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So when I was in this watery realm, I remember they didn't speak to me. There weren't words, but it was telepathic. They were telling me that I came personally. They said you come from an ancient tribe, and I immediately felt it wasn't just me coming from an ancient tribe. It's all of us. It's
Yeah.
every single soul on this earth
Yeah.
who's probably forgotten, comes from this ancient tribe, and it's called, let's say, it's a soul that goes back home, and it's connected to this home, which is a watery realm. You had the experience of Jeshua taking you into this
Mhm.
water. I think that's so beautiful. So, did you grow up as a Christian?
I did. I grew up Catholic, but I wasn't a good I wasn't a good Catholic, but yes, I did. Yeah.
What's a good
Well,
Catholic?
I don't know. I as a child,
Exactly.
my parents divorced when I was a kid, right? And I know what is a good Catholic. And we lived with my grandmother, and she was very staunch and you know, uh, telling us that God's going to judge you for this and this and this. Yeah. So it was a fear-based type of Catholic
Right.
world for us, which I didn't, resonate with. And so I grew up without a spiritual center, really, because my parents also weren't good Catholics. Uh, and I went to Catholic school for a little while, not very long, but a few years, 3 or 4. And because we moved around a lot because we'd move with my mom and live with my mother and my father off and on. So my
Okay.
I guess my point is that I've never been religious, although I knew there was some greater presence out there that was taking care of me, looking over me, that we call God, and so I didn't really have a type of connection with Christ, with Yeshua, that I remembered or at all during, and then I was in my 40s when I had my NDE, or that NDE. And so I just knew as soon as I saw him that I missed him terribly. I knew him. I knew we were from the same tribe.
Isn't that fascinating?
Hmm.
Like that is fascinating. I think everything we've ever been told about Yeshua is not the truth. I sense that. Um, have you ever read about the Essenes? Have you heard about the
Yes,
Essenes?
I
They were,
have Dolores Cannon's book. I think I read that one, and a little bit. Yeah, not a lot.
yeah. Well, I think she speaks about how Jeshua was actually originally an Essene,
Right.
and um, their whole way of spirituality was coming together and cleansing in water. Once
Yes.
again, you have water here and purifying themselves and fasting and getting information from the spiritual realms through fasting and through water. I think that tends to resonate much more than this fearful God that we've been uh, programmed with.
Programmed. Yeah,
And
definitely.
it leaves so many of us, I think so many of us, it leaves us with a sense of fear. If we don't do it this way, we're going to go to hell, which is such a shame because
Mhm.
unfortunately, I also sense that when we do pass through into the other realms, into the spiritual realms, whoever you are here and whatever you so-called believe or know that's true, I think that you go to this experience. So let's say you and I, deep down within our DNA, we've always had this connection to water. And maybe that's why we go there, to be connected to the spiritual side and this watery realm. And I also believe everything exists in the other side. There are all types of interdimensional beings. I also feel that there is a hierarchy, but not ego-based, not the way we have a hierarchy here on Earth. It's nothing to do with the earthly
Right.
hierarchy.
Yeah.
Um, and I also sense that when we are there, we understand that we're part of God. We're not just there's no disconnection. We're part of God there. So we're like
Hmm.
sparks, eternal sparks of God. So let's say if you and I go there, we create the beauty and the realms we want to experience, and it's real. It's not that we're creating it out of Play-Doh, or we are
Right.
actually creating it, and it manifests into that incredible experience. It's
I
just a
agree.
different way. It's just a different way of being there. Here, we also create our lives.
Hmm.
We create our lives. We get dressed up. We create an image. What are we going to look like? What are we going to wear? What is our style like? How do we go into the world? What kind of people we meet? So we also create this life as well. But
Hmm.
there, it seems much more possible. I think the unbelievable is possible there, much more so, I think.
Oh, definitely. I totally agree. And well, I believe that because it's a higher realm, higher dimensional realm.
Yes.
And it's funny because Yeshua, not funny, it's, that's what's happening is we're finding our tribe, right? Uh, Yeshua told me when he told me it wasn't my time to leave the earth plane yet, that I can come back there. He said, when your mission is finished on earth, you can come back to this world because I didn't want to leave.
I understand
He
that.
said you can go in your meditations and that, giving me that telepathic communication as well. And so I'm still there. I am there, but this part of me is not there. So what was really interesting was when I was there, they recognized that the Sharon here, part of my soul, was integrated within the mer being there. They could see, whew, I'm getting goosebumps again. They could see that I had brought my consciousness into that life.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Oh,
Mhm.
beautiful. Do you ever cry at night when you're alone and think, why, what, with all the craziness and all the horrific stuff that's happening, especially now? We won't go into detail about that, but do you ever just think, gosh, why am I still here? What's my mission? What am I supposed to do here? Do you know at all?
Um, well, I believe I do. It's to help, like you do, people, our brethren, our sisterhood, and our brethren to wake up to who we are. That's it.
Yeah.
And Christ, Yeshua teaches us we're here to remember who we are, which is love, and we are expressions of love in whatever form that is. And then the rest is what we create to traverse through this this earth plane and heal.
Yeah.
Number one, heal what gets in the way of that. And so I believe that we are here to help others as we remember our roots and who we are. We're here to help others
Yeah.
with that. And but yeah,
Yes.
I have one to what you were just asking. I have one very vivid experience where I'm laying in bed and I just know that the beings that take care of me, extraterrestrials, interdimensional, whatever you want to call them, are going to be taking me for some reason. They're not here. I just know they're coming that night. You know, if you get senses of that, I'm sure you do.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. And I'm um I'm laying there. Oh, actually, a light comes into the window, and there's no way a car light could come into our window because we're down. Um, a
Oh,
ravine.
fabulous.
Yeah, we on the river, so we have to you have to walk down from the street to get down to the house. So there's no way that a car, unless it's, coming down the hill,
Yes.
which would be very bad. But so there's a light in the window at first, and then I'm laying there, and my cat's up against my chest, and and I tell them, okay, I'm not afraid to see you now. You can show yourselves to me. And the next thing I know is I feel hands on me. I don't see, unfortunately. And I'm
Yes.
closing my eyes and there's hands on me, lifting my body. So, but I'm dual locating. And the first thing, and I hear myself telling these beings, but I don't see them. I'm just so sad. I don't know why, but I'm just so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I see this healing wheel. It's a wheel of different colored lights, and they're moving my body around, and I'm feeling the emotion of it now, to heal my body, my energy bodies, wherever they were. Yeah, healing,
That's
and
beautiful.
I still didn't see them, but I knew they were there, and I felt them,
Wow.
or they took me somewhere.
What a beautiful experience. That's quite, and does that happen to you quite often?
Not consciously. Well, I do have reality shifts, but a lot. Yeah. But that healing experience was really profound. With, I don't know why I'm so sad. I just feel so sad. I said it twice. I just feel so sad.
I think I think I totally understand that sadness. I think many of us feel that sadness. We just want to create heaven on earth. We have the capacity to
Yeah.
do so, yet we are constantly being stopped. And unfortunately, because we are so controlled in this realm, sometimes it feels almost impossible.
Hmm.
But at the same time, we can't give up. We need to have courage in these times and to stay strong in our hearts and keep our hearts open no matter what. Um, I believe, these are some of the most trying times that we're going to go through.
Yeah.
Um, and if we understand that death is just an illusion, it doesn't matter when we die. It's just we're here to experience this life in all its beauty, but also in all its sadness, and progress through that sadness, because there's nothing wrong with being sad. It's an
No.
incredible emotion, and if we can heal with that sadness as well, and maybe bring some inspiration with that sadness, through that sadness, maybe write a letter or paint a painting, or do something in the garden, plant some beautiful trees or plants or flowers. I think to stay creative is really important in these times, because so much of the outer world can make us switch off, and we must keep our light burning no matter what. I think that's really,
Beautiful.
really important. After my NDE, for me, one of the most profound things that changed my life was my own intuition and psychism. I started to be able to see colors around people, and I suppose feel into stories about their lives, feel into their relationships with people, their relationships with themselves. I could see symbols. I forgot to mention that when I woke up after my NDE in the hospital, my husband, who's a doctor, was right next to me. And I remember waking up slowly and him saying to me, "It's okay." He started to explain where I was. And I spoke a foreign language. I spoke actually an ancient language to him for
Oh,
10
wow.
minutes straight. And it's always a bit embarrassing telling somebody about the language, because it did sound quite bizarre. It was like a lot of high pitched frequency sounds, almost like a dolphin sounding noise or a whale
Mm-hmm.
noise, combined with the letters ka, Ka, ka. So it sounded extremely ancient, but with Ka. And then the frequencies were going up and down. So I was doing that for 10 minutes straight. And then finally I was back in my body, and he was really getting quite nervous at that point. He said, "It's okay, you're fine." And then I said to him, "My God, I just told him the entire story of what just happened." And of course, luckily, he believed me because he's an open-minded doctor. So yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So after that, my psychism really became very open. I don't know if that happened to you at all, but it just opened a door. I know that I brought a big part of that happiness and joy back with me as well. I
Mhm.
didn't see life as depressing as I used to, and I wasn't so disconnected, and I wasn't that superficial anymore, and all of that crap, kind of just fell away. And I started to become, I suppose, a little bit more intense, but in a happy way, in a real way, in a down to earth. What's the opposite to shallow? Um, I don't know. Real way.
Yeah. Yeah, real way, introspective.
Yeah, in a real way,
Deep. Yeah.
And
Right.
and I started painting for the first time in my life, and that really changed my life, because I hadn't really painted before, just little squiggles or whatever. But I started to paint these incredible abstract paintings, and I wanted to bring the colours of what I saw on the other side back into my art. And I started to do that, and I just started painting these incredible pieces, huge pieces, some 2 meter by 2 meters. I would just splash on the paint and all kinds of things. And I love using nature pieces as well, leaves and all kinds of things. And yeah, and I started creating and tuning into what I now call soul frequency paintings. A soul frequency painting is a painting that I paint of someone who I can tune into their frequency and their energy matrix, let's call it that. And I see lots of symbols, lots of different colors. Every single soul frequency painting is uniquely different. There's not one the same. And then I write about the symbolic meaning and the colors of that painting in a letter to the
Wow.
person that I'm sending it to.
Oh,
And
that's beautiful.
I've got one here. This is a print that I also have in my shop, but this is one of the soul frequency paintings that I paint. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's amazing.
But the heart in the middle and the expansion, yeah.
That's
There goes,
incredible. That's
there goes.
incredible. Wow.
And I
Wow.
always promised my mum to do a soul frequency for her. So I thought I'd do a mini soul frequency for her because it was her birthday recently, and I'm sending this to her as well. So these are also mini soul frequency relics that I paint. I use real gold, so they're also valuable. Uh,
Mm.
and then the sides are all gold plated. And I don't know what it is. After
Which is,
being on the other side, I have this obsession with painting dots. I don't ask me why, but maybe the dot starts with the I am, and then it spreads out into all of us are interconnected. So it has like a deeper feel, my art. So yeah, I use a lot of colors and a lot of different symbolism, and uh, yeah, and I also painted one of the beings. Um, I can show you that if you'd like to
I
see
would
it.
love to see that. Yes.
It's really interesting because everybody always asks me where do you think you were. All I can say, it was a watery realm, but I do know there is a connection with Sirius B, whatever
Yeah.
that is. I have to say, I don't see stars as what people tell you stars are. I see them as interdimensional vortexes. Uh,
Portals.
it's Yeah, portals, exactly, portals. So, and I feel the frequency of these stars are aligning with who you are inside.
That
And
is,
even though we're all interconnected, we just go to where we feel home. Let's put it that way.
yes, that I shouldn't be surprised, but yeah, when Yeshua took me to the water world, he took me through a blue star, a blue portal, a blue star,
Yes,
Sirius B.
exactly. That's what I went through too. Yeah,
Oh,
blue white. It was white
yes.
blue.
Whew, goosebumps like crazy. Yes.
Goosebumps are
I,
good, right?
oh yeah, yeah,
Goosebumps
totally.
are interesting, aren't they? So this is just a kind of one of the representations of these beings, but I couldn't paint the feathered hair. It's more of the aura around it that I painted. And
That is
I call this painting Sirius B. So this is Sirius B.
that is amazingly beautiful. It's I got to tell you, Nicole. Um, when I came back, I started drawing and paint. I needed to put color on paper. I just needed to put color on paper. And I'm not an artist, but I love putting color on paper. I love drawing, and I'm also a writer and a journaler. I journal like crazy. And so I had to do that. And my deal was swirls. I had to keep drawing swirls for some reason.
Yeah, that's
Vortexes.
what I do. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like it almost it represents what's behind you, those swirls behind you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's why I'm so drawn to Van Gogh. And I
Oh,
mean, yeah, he's totally awake. And I feel a connection with his deep sadness, of course. But he, uh, yeah, and the language. I also started in my meditations sounding like it was a moaning sound, high pitched. It start out really low when I was going back to my home. It started out really low, and then it would get higher pitched and higher pitched. It would just come out of me. It wasn't anything that I thought about, or it would when I would get deeper and deeper, it would just come out. And there was and then the words or the language, I started writing down a language that I didn't know what it was. I just assumed it was from the Merv world, and I started writing, journaling, and speaking in a language that was not our language. And I do remember a lot of what you just ka and ish a lot.
oh.
Yeah, that's how I remember it. Yeah.
I'm quite upset with my husband. I wish he would have recorded me. I often said to him, why didn't you record me if I was speaking for so long?" And he said, "Yeah, but I was worried about you and all of that." So
Yeah. But
it's a shame. But I mean, I'm not alone in speaking this language. It seems that you could also also
yeah,
speak.
it's
This is
been a
another.
little while, but yeah. Oh my gosh, look at that.
I'll put it close so you see it's very, very busy.
Whoa,
ancient,
yeah.
ancient, ancient. Yeah.
Yeah,
So these
there's
are.
the swirl, the vortex. Wow. I love that. Those colors are amazing.
Yeah. So yeah. So art became really my way of communicating the other side. into onto canvas. Um, when you said to me that you were, creating these sounds coming out, I think what that is, it's called frequency calibration. What you do is it's almost like you're healing parts of your physical vessel as well as your mental and emotional vessel. So when you're doing this meditation, there's parts inside of us that still need a lot of healing, the deep sadness that we feel, the
Right.
loneliness, the disconnection, the why am I still here? What am I supposed to do? And because it's not easy having this earthly life, it's not easy. Even if you're living a wonderful life and you have enough money, there's still going to be heartache, there's still going to be difficulties along the path.
Yeah, it's challenging, and the one thing that I longed for the most when I kept going back to was my mate and my children, because I didn't raise any children this lifetime, and I have a partner, and we get along really well. It's and I love him dearly. We love each other dearly. It's just a different, I don't know how to say it. It's, I do believe that he is a mer being for sure. He doesn't have memory, but the longing to be in that world with my community and my family is very strong when I focus on it. So I stopped going there because they had to keep pulling me back. I don't go there on a regular basis. When I write, I am going to write a book just about the mer world, my memories of that. Just, that's on my list. But it, because so many people are waking up to it. But I want to ask you, I would love for you to share what you shared earlier before we started recording about the paintings behind you. The
Yeah, I have to do
you
this
know,
so that does the camera focus out? No, I don't know.
it didn't yet. There we
Yeah, here
go.
we go.
There,
So
there you go. Okay.
there you have Jeshua. Oh, it's gone now. Jeshua and Mother Mary. Mother
There,
Mary.
there. Yes.
And here you have a beautiful painting which is on the wall. Should I stand? Maybe I'll stand up. Maybe it will. Oh,
Maybe.
look,
There we go.
isn't that clever? And here to my left, we have Ode to Water, which is the connection of Yeshua and Mother Mary to the water, to the eternal waters. And I actually have that in my shop as well. It's beautiful. It really is.
It
You
is.
really see it very clearly, but there's fish, there's an octopus. It's just flowing water. And it's really interesting. You said you were writing a book. I wrote a book about the water. It's called Guardians of the Water,
Mm.
Guardians of the Waters. Um, After my NDE, I started researching about these half mer beings, and I found out that they've been seen in so many different cultures around the world, from the Dogon tribe to even the Aztecs. Even the ancient Egyptians have half mermaid beings in Egyptian hieroglyphs. So they go they go right back to the Babylonian times, the Sumerian times. And I read about the seven sages. They're called Apkallu, and they came to Earth after the Great Flood, and they were half mer beings, and they came to teach humanity how to plant again, how to sing and write, and they came to teach them all kinds of different things: to plant, to sing, to create art, to build, to whatever it was that they needed. And these Apkallu beings, which are written about in the Babylonian times, they said they came from the great Abzu, which is called the Great Waters.
Mm.
And so when I found out about that, I was totally floored. And I started writing about the connection between my NDE and the ancient Babylonian script of the Apkallu and the Great Abzu. And what I really love, which I thought was incredible, was that we actually, all of us here on earth in this realm, have two births. Our soul gets born in the great Abzu, which is the eternal waters. So that's where we're first born. And our second birth is through the waters of our mother.
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful? It makes me so emotional, and I don't know, I just feel that's those tears, even, our tears are the memory of water as well. Why do we cry? If we put our tears under a microscope, you can see all kind of shapes and forms, and our tears are incredible. We're made from water. I mean, and we ask ourselves, why have we all forgotten? Why has there been a disconnection to the other side? For what reason? Well, I can only think it's as the reason as you said, is just wanting to go back home. Well, that's not our purpose. Our purpose is to complete whatever it is, whether you want to call it a mission, whether you want to call it living your life, whatever it is, we're here to experience and to do what we have to do.
Right. Yeah.
And when the time comes, we're not going to live forever, but we do live forever. That's the
We
difference.
do. We're
We
infinite.
infinite, yes, infinite
Yes.
spark of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to think of it as, okay, I'm here doing a job, and when you're doing a job, you have fun along the way and you have challenges along the way. And my real home is on the other side of the planet, or wherever it's at, you know what I mean? But that keeps it a little bit closer to me than, so it's so not out of reach. And when my job's finished here, then I can go home, kind of like being in the military type thing.
Yes, after a very, very long holiday. And I imagine that, it's interesting that when you're there, this entire life that we've lived here, it's not really a big deal. You just realize that, oh, okay, yeah, that's why many of us don't want to go back, because it's quite hard to fathom, because while we're here, we have our pets, we have our partners, we have our families. Of course we don't want to go. But
Yeah.
there, because you're suddenly in this incredible, immense love, that nothing even surpasses that feeling of the immense love that you feel on that in that other dimension,
Mhm.
that you're okay with it. It's all okay. That's what happens to you. You just feel it's okay. It's okay, okay to let everything go.
Yeah, it's like looking back at a challenge in this lifetime. You did it, you got through it. Now it's time to move on, as long as we don't leave baggage there, which is another thing that Yeshua taught me, was that we come here to heal the baggage that we've brought forward. And speaking of Catholics, I want to go back real quick with this. Um, I believe what Catholics call being born in sin, what I believe is what they're really talking about is bringing our other lifetime traumas that have not been healed into our life, that we don't really come in with a clean slate when in terms of soul memory.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I can give you a good example. I look at your brothers. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have a sister and a half brother. Yes.
Right. Well, we can look at our siblings and see how different we are to them. And, their baggage is going to be totally different to our baggage. And there you can already see a huge difference. And it started from childhood already. So how can they be like that?
Yeah.
Some of us carry immense sadness as children, and it never truly goes away. And that eventually can become illness, and it
Right.
can become cancer and kill us. So if we're not able to deal with it and to really understand, to love ourselves and forgive ourselves for whatever it is that we need to be forgiven for, then we can, I think, survive illness and actually heal ourselves instantaneously. My husband has had quite incredible healings with his cousin. She was 22 at the time. She had an enormous tumor, cancer tumor, and she had a miraculous healing in one day. That cancer, which was that big, shrunk within a week. Within a week, it was.
Whoa.
So he's actually witnessed these kind of things, and that's also given me hope and strength, because I never used to believe in any of that. But once you know somebody who has had miraculous healings and experienced that, you understand that this world is nothing we've been told it is. It's so much more. And if we understand that this world is a magical realm and that everything exists here, we can create everything here as well. But it's
Right.
about understanding that we are superheroes, we have superpowers,
Mhm.
and the media, the noises, the Hollywood movies, the noises, the Hollywood music, industries. That's all noise trying to brainwash you and stop you completing your mission and to have a high frequency in this realm. If we can cancel that out and surpass it and stick with that godly knowing that we are always connected to that God source, that we are always connected to love, we can complete anything we want here if we do it with integrity and love. Yes, absolutely.
Amen.
Didn't
So
want to
true.
preach there, but
No,
it's just
yeah,
experience.
it's so true. And that's why we're here to help people remember that about ourselves. Totally. That's what
Yes,
we're here to help each
yeah,
other remember. Yeah. Remember all
yes,
this because we are
um,
very, very powerful beings.
absolutely. And you only understand you're really powerful when you've gone through, let's say, a real health crisis as well. I don't know if you've ever gone through a serious health crisis, but I have, like really serious, like on death's door 6 years ago. And
Mm,
I remember so many times almost wanting just to give up in those moments and just not wanting to carry on because I was literally bedbound at that time.
mm.
And just having, first of all, having a partner who's very strong and positive and saying, don't give up, trust, trust. That really helped me through a lot. And also during that time of healing, I would see really interesting signs shown to me that it wasn't my time to go, that I still had to do something here. So if you're aware of the signs as well, that will help you. And for me, I will say this, it was swimming in the ocean that really helped my healing tremendously, and being in nature,
Yeah.
getting out of the concrete jungles and going and connecting to nature.
Oh,
With
totally.
without nature, I mean, my plants, let's see if it will go to my plants. Almost.
There we go. Yes, yes.
No, it's not. Oh,
No,
what a
it's
shame.
going back to you, Joshua.
There
Okay.
you go. There you go. My plant, there's some lovely plants here. I'll show you here. I have like a fantastic table of orchids.
Oh, orchids. I see them.
Yes. So for
Oh, I love
me,
it when they bloom.
I like creating a jungle in my house because I think your home really represents who you are inside. For me, I just love to be in nature and
Yeah.
it soothes me, it brings me joy. I find that the more I'm online, the more I get depressed. I've noticed that many times. I'm constantly checking my phone and my
Mm.
apps and everything. You realize that you've spent like 3 hours looking at
Oh,
your
I
phone
know.
at useless information where instead you could have like been outside or walked your dog or just looked at how the sky changes to dusk. There's so many things that we
So
need to
much.
force ourselves to go out. Come, Lily.
I know. I've actually felt my energy being sucked into the to the phone before because
Yeah.
see things energetically and I just felt it being sucked in. I'm like, okay, all right.
Yes.
I gotta turn it over and go do something more productive. Or yeah, that's better for me. It's healing. Definitely
Yeah.
nature is so healing. Um, I wanted to ask you because I must have interrupted you when you were sharing your NDE and you talked about uh the the two beings on the thrones, right? Well, I didn't even think about that till just now, but I wanted to ask you to continue after they told you that you were from a tribe,
From their yeah, yeah, they told me I was from their eternal tribe.
their eternal tribe. Yes.
Yeah, their eternal tribe because it was a tribe that's always existed before and after,
Wow.
eternally.
Okay.
And the other thing that they strangely told me was that I wasn't supposed to have a child in this life, which is interesting because I've never been a woman that's desperately wanted to have children, although I love children. I've been a nanny for many years when I was in my early 20s, looking after other people's children. That wore me down, I think. But I don't know. I wanted to have a child. I was pregnant. It was a wonderful experience. And then to have lost a child was really quite devastating because you're about, I wasn't that young anymore. I was in my late 30s at that time. And I think after being told that they told me not to be so sad. I needed to let go of the grief. And in hindsight, I think I know why they told me that. I think had I woken up with that grief, that might have killed me in the end. I think that grief. might have killed me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was taken away, that grief. I cry about it now, but they're happy tears, you know. I cry about it now because it's almost like I forgive myself for having lost a child, and understanding that this is the life I have. I must be so grateful for everything I have in my life. I have these two wonderful dogs, you know, that are sleeping right next to me. One is adorable but blind, and you know,
Oh.
she's a sweetheart. She's such a love.
Beautiful.
The other one's a furry sheep, a little bit bigger. And, you know, I love animals. I couldn't live without animals. I'm just, you know, I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat meat. Um, I eat eggs. But I've been that for at least 12, 13 years now. So for me, life is sacred. All life is sacred. And I don't force anybody else to have my opinion. I think we're all here to live a free life and to do what we feel right for ourselves. You know, nothing is right, nothing is wrong. But if we live in alignment with our highest self and our highest truth, what we feel is right, then we must follow that. And that I feel is very important. Um, I don't know about you, but since I've been back from my holiday on the other side, uh, I have this unconditional love where I just talk to everybody. I know that can lead you in a bit of problems because the other day there was a vagrant on the side of the road. I was carrying some roses, you know, on Valentine's Day, and had this urge to kind of start giving these roses to all the vagrants in the area. But
Oh.
I was stopped by my husband because I do have a tendency to attract the unusual. It's almost like I have this deeper urge always to make everybody feel good. You know, I want people to be happy. And I know
Yeah.
it's not my job for people to be happy, but I want people to feel that joy that I felt, that you felt on the other side. I feel like it's so important to remind people who they really are because we're not what we're programmed here on earth to be.
No.
Nothing at all. We're in fact quite the opposite. We're here to shine brightly when the time is dark. We're here to hold the torch for others when others are torn and sad and helpless and lonely. And we're just here to shine the light from God upon other people that are going through hard times. And I say this without the cliches in there. I just say this from my heart. So I hope it doesn't sound a bit silly, but it
Not at
really
all.
is. It really is that. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I can definitely relate. So many parallels here. It's mind blowing. Um,
That's nice.
I do want to say one thing with the beings that you saw on the thrones. I encountered in my trips to the water world, which I call Opus. Opus came up for me, which
Oh,
yeah,
lovely.
yeah.
Wow. Purpose.
Music, God's finest composure. Is that, I've got goosebumps. Um, Opus is what I was told after the experience. Yeah, the I was came across what I called the king and queen of my community or of the planet. I don't know, but I did merge with the mother energy of the planet and felt so much love from her for everyone and everything on her planet, on her body. I was in that awareness of moving back and forth. But the king and queen, who I call in our um, language, were like the high mother father. And I didn't see them on thrones, but I definitely knew that they were the royalty of our people, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, I met them too, but
Okay.
but you know the king and queen for me when I saw them on the thrones, they weren't feminine or masculine. They were intertwined. They were both sexes, each of them. So
Okay.
that was really interesting. They were neither male, neither female. I couldn't make out one was female, one was male. They were both, which was really bizarre. I think we're so in this realm, in this earthly realm, we're really, we have this male and female here. So
Right.
that's all there is, male and female. But there, I have heard that angels are they're both.
They're
I have to.
right.
I just have to open the door for my dog. She
Oh, of
wants to go
course.
outside. Is
Of
that
course,
okay?
of course. No, that's
Sorry,
fine. Yes, totally. No problem.
just going to move quick. I will. I will. Yes, that was just a quick.
A quick, no problem at all. And I understand that too with angels and with the merbeings, they could have been like that, but because they had the similar name, how I remember it, Plutar and Plurina. And so I just remember as I'm communicating with them, one came through in masculine and one came through in feminine
Well,
because,
that was something that you needed to see. That was
yeah,
something
I was
you
just
needed
going to
to
say
experience.
that. I
Yeah.
believe it was something that I needed a mother father type of energy coming through for me during that
Yeah.
experience.
It,
Yeah.
it makes sense because of what I don't know too much about your childhood, but I feel like when I tune into you that you were almost like fighting between both of them. You couldn't be with one, you couldn't be with the other, and it was like you felt completely disconnected from one and from the other. You were like thrown both to both areas, and at the same time feeling completely lost. I can sense that. Unfortunately, my husband is behind me, opening. Something to drink. Okay, he's
Well,
just getting something to drink. Oh, really? Okay, sorry, darling. Yeah, he's just getting some water. And
no
that's
problem.
another thing. That's another thing that I was going to say is the water that we drink is very, very important right now as well. Is that
Oh, yes.
we pray over it.
Yes.
Um, so water for me is incredibly important. Yeah.
I channel the whale kingdom every once in a while, and that's the first thing that comes through is water, 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 drink water, drink water, drink water, and clean water, of course. And yeah, and
Beautiful.
make sure that comes
Beautiful.
through like crazy.
What are your favorite colors? Do you like light blues and yellows?
I do, and I do.
Yes. I thought so,
And
yes.
I love turquoise, green
Yes.
and blue and green, the watercolors. But yeah,
But
it's
light versions of those colors.
yes.
Soft pastely in a way.
I saw my matrix in a psilocybin journey, and it was pastel. I
I
saw it,
thought so. I
and
can see that on you.
I could see with my breath it moving in and out my matrix. It was gorgeous. We all have such gorgeous
Oh, beautiful.
matrices. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Wow. You did psilocybin. Very, very interesting.
I've done a couple psilocybin journeys. I wouldn't say, I mean, they had definitely had some amazing moments. The first one was very challenging for me because I was taken back to the water world in that journey, um, which was Mm. Uh, it was terrifying for me because I couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. I thought I was staying there, you know what I mean? And then I was worried about
Yeah.
this life. Well, how can I leave that life? I haven't finished everything. And anyway, so it was a terrifying journey for me. And I was hearing the music that was playing. I was hearing it as a myrrh call to bring me home. I was not, and I was fighting to,
Stay in your body.
yeah, I was fighting to stay here. So anyway, and I was remembering Galactic Wars even further than what I remembered after my NDE. So it was all these really deep memories were coming up for me, which I hear that psilocybin can do, to,
Yes.
clear us out. So I needed more clearing, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be really careful with psilocybin because sometimes it can open doors that you're not ready to open yet. And it
Yeah.
can be quite maddening as well. We didn't expect this, did we?
Yeah, well, I knew there had to be something, some connection, and I couldn't wait to hear your story about the water world and your connection and everything like that. So
Yes.
there's so many parallels that it's crazy.
I know. And it would be so lovely for other people to reach out to us one if they have had experience as well with like mer beings or sea beings or any type of watery beings. Um,
Totally. Hear that, peeps? Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Please reach out and let us know. Yeah.
Yes, please
Okay.
do.
So thank you so much, Nicole. It's been a pleasure.
It's
And
been a
oh,
pleasure.
look at that cutie pie. We
Yeah,
just
she's
lost our
lovely.
dog. We had a Yorkie. We lost her last year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
17 years. Yeah, but
Oh, that's great.
she's with me all the time in my I see her all the time. We know she's here,
That's
and
that's wonderful.
she's with me in my nighttime travels a lot. So
Oh, bless. Well,
yeah.
this is my newer Yorkie, so similar to your Yorkie, but with
I
three colours.
yeah, she made me think of my little one. Yeah.
Yeah,
How
she's a
cute.
sweetheart.
How old is she?
She's well, this one, the big one, is she's 12, and the other, no,
12.
she's 13, and this one is 12.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I love dogs. I don't know if I'll have another one. I'm still debating because it's a lot of they're our children for sure. And so they're
absolutely, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Well, Nicole, thank you once again. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, they can reach out and connect with me on my website. They can send me an email. I'd love to speak to anyone who, I don't know, is inspired by this talk that we've had, and feels a recognition there somehow. Be lovely to speak to anyone who feels that. And thank you so much for this lovely interview. I really appreciate it. It was lovely to connect with another mer being.
I know, right?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And like I said earlier, it's rare to find people that have these memories, these clear memories of the water worlds, and it only makes sense that that's where we come from. Thank you again. I'll have Nicole's information down in the details, everyone. So thank you for being here once more, and have a wonderful, free-flowing day, just like the water.
Lovely.
All right. I'm Sharon Kamara, and you have been listening to Awakened Soul Radio on Transformation Talk Radio. I invite you to embark on a transformative journey with us. Awakened Soul is a safe, sacred space for exploring the depths of our consciousness. Each episode, you will be inspired to shed the illusions that bind you, connect more deeply with your inner wisdom, and step into a liberating life of freedom, clarity, and purpose. To connect with me, visit kumaraacademy.com.